Hey there folks, this is GreenXI welcoming you right back to Let's Play Umineko. This is episode 120. Recently, you can see on screen this is the new Beatrice for this arc, and she's been getting lonely, especially since her old friend when she was a servant, Sharon, doesn't want to stay with her. So, let's get cracking. I see. So this emotion that feels like sweet suffocation is love? It's an emotion I do not know. One I do not have. Though my magic can grant any wish. Though my paradise can grant any wish. That thing I cannot have. That incomprehensible emotion that burns like fire. And yet, madly, one wants to hold it close. All I know is that no matter how great a witch I might become, I cannot create this emotion. It must be given by another person. For the first time, I realised that I wasn't all powerful. And I knew what Sharon had discovered in the world of humans. This emotion is just too much. Once you've felt it, there's no forgetting it, is there? Sharon, you win. Love, is it? It may be the most important element, and the one that I lack. Sharon, I'll watch and see how your love develops. So please, teach me more and more about this new emotion. Ah. We could have ended it there. But the screen smashed, so I thought it was that time. But oh well, it wasn't long anyway, was it? Okay then, let's move on to the next chapter. Well, not yet. This form is... I'm lending it to you. After all, I hate idiots. Call yourself Clay as a temporary name. Oh, okay, so we finally get a name. We saw it when we were looking at the tips or whatever. But... would you prefer Beto? You have my gratitude. This way, I won't have to expose my pitiful form. Berncastle had given Clay a fake form. It was a temporary form, for the person acting the part of Beatrice. A fake to fool those who still hadn't discovered Beatrice's true form. Then, is this a tale about me in another world? Leon, this is indeed a tale of you in another world, and also my tale. The tale of a world where I live as a witch, not a human. I'm capable of imagining what-if scenarios for my own life. However, the tale you tell is beyond anything I can imagine. Even so, it's the life that another you has led. But still, that doesn't mean I can accept it easily. Leon suddenly yelled and looked at the floor. Leon already knew. Because of the fragments lent by Berncastle, Leon knew. There was a different world where Leon lived as the Golden Witch Beatrice. And in this world, eventually, on the day of the 1986 October family conference, she would be the ringleader of a terrible crime. Even if it is a different world, you're saying that I get my entire family and all the servants involved in a terrible crime that I'm the mastermind of? How am I supposed to deal with that? Be quiet, listen, and figure it out. In a different life, I end up as a servant, and if that wasn't enough, I suddenly become a witch. And then I eventually carry out several terrifying murders. How am I supposed to understand that? Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I doubt anyone could understand. This person here thought that no one would ever understand. That's why you're here. That's why Berncastle brought you two. Two people who never should have met, together like this. It's not like I had any deep reason for it. It was just a whim. This is a motive that no one else can understand, Leon, so you need to be the one to understand it. I'm not the main character in this tale. You are. I'm just here to help you understand. You said that you understand the culprit's motive. Yes. Is that motive a satisfying explanation for why I'd kill my entire family? Who knows? That's for you to decide. Even if I say it's satisfying, that doesn't mean it'll satisfy you. You have to decide that for yourself. I really don't have a clue what's going on. I've seen several crimes called game boards that Beatrice supposedly carried out. And now I'm here I'm hearing another me talk about a different life from mine. But there's no connection between that and the crime. I don't understand. At this point in the tale, even I could not have dreamed that I would eventually carry out such terrible crimes. In fact, even if I had been able to dream of it, I did not have the power to commit those crimes at that time. Probably. Yet misfortune probably came when you solved the epitaph's riddle. Huh? You mean that epitaph about the hidden gold, which Grandfather supposedly wrote? There exists a system for gaining different accomplices for each crime. Reasoning can lead us to the possibility that the culprit possessed a vast amount of money. We can also envision another system, which involves inviting all to the Golden Land and making all loves bear fruit. So it wasn't just the motive. You've already seen that far as well. That's the answer to the final riddle from the 4th game. Your greatest misfortune was solving the epitaph, reviving as the Golden Witch in the truest sense and gaining magical power. Looking back, was that really misfortune after all? I do not know. However, as long as the fact that Battler-san returns in 1986 remains unchanged, some sort of tragedy would certainly have occurred. That's right. If Battler had returned a year earlier or later, that incident might not have occurred. No, some small incident probably would have occurred, and it would surely have been a mysterious, impossible incident which no one could have explained. But even so, compared to the Rokkenjima serial murders, it would have been a tiny thing. If Battler-kun had returned a year earlier or later, then what? Fate can be so filled with irony. It made me walk the path of a witch, and when I solved the epitaph, I became a true witch. Then 6 years passed, and I learned of his return. If all of that was fate, then this crime must have been inevitable and inescapable for me. In 1980, Battler was resentful because of the death of his mother, Asumu, and his father's remarriage that came too soon, so he left the Ashurmaya family. For 6 whole years, he had no direct contact with them. He convinced his grandparents on his mother's side to help him and went by his mother's maiden name. Then, when those grandparents passed away, he finally made up with Rudolph and returned to the Ashurmaya family again in 1986. That bad luck gave birth to a motive for the crime. I did wonder, why after 6 whole years? Did he finally come back? I understand. In a way, it would have been better for you if he had never come back. Of course, my suffering would have continued. However, I may not have tainted myself with the unforgivable crime of mass murder. How could Battler-kun leave and create a motive? We got it backwards. Backwards? The crime didn't occur because Battler left. It happened because Battler came back. The more I think about it, Ashurmaya Battler was quite a disagreeable man. More than anything else because he never realised that the outbreak of the crime was his fault. He did remember, in the end. However, that was long after you gave up and disappeared. If that's so, then it would give my heart some peace. I don't have a clue what you two are talking about anymore, but I'd like to ask you bluntly. I want to know, what on earth happened to you that made you decide to commit a crime? Yes, that's the most important part. It's just like how Ashurmaya Battler respected the why done it in mystery novels. That's where the answers to all the riddles are hidden, both in the tale of the Golden Witch and in the game. In that case, allow me to continue. 1980, 6 years before I resolved myself to committing the crime. Yeah, let's carry on with the book. Chapter 6, Days of Trials. That was a hell of a prelude to the actual chapter starting. Okay then. Days of Trials it is. 1980, 6 years until the incident. Okay. Battler-sama has left the Ashurmaya family. That went weird. That's what Kraus-sama and Rudolph-sama were saying. What a shock. I have no intention of criticising your way of life or your family situation. However, Father is in a towering rage. Disinheriting a son is one thing, but I've never even heard of a child becoming fed up and leaving the family on his own. That Battler can be surprisingly stubborn, sort of like someone else I know. If you're unable to understand Battler-kun's feelings, one might question your right to be a father. Enough, Natsui. I'm sure Rudolph was just trying to show how dedicated he was to raising Kirie-san's child in his own way. I would have nothing to say if this were happening next year, but why this year? He's still in his period of mourning. If you consider the timing of this pregnancy, one must acknowledge that Rudolph-san has acted disgracefully. Come on, don't be so harsh. This is my way of atoning for what I've done. Battler-kun's trying to protest against you on the behalf of his departed mother, Asumu-san. I deeply understand how he feels. If he were here, I would want to hold him and cry along with him. Natsui's words were sharp. They pierced Rudolph mercilessly. Rudolph had no retort. His relationship with Kirie had been adulterous, plain and simple. According to Rudolph, he had been close to Kirie longer than Asumu. And even after his marriage to Asumu, that relationship had not disappeared. What the hell does that mean? You old bastard. So you've just been betraying Mum from the start? Sure, I know Kirie-san. You've told me that she was your business partner and a friend whose advice you could always rely on. If you're trying to say after all this time that she was more than that, then why should I give a damn? After Mum's death, you could have done whatever you wanted. I'm right there with you, saying that you should live life as you please. But just when did Kirie-san get pregnant? Back when Mum was still alive, right? Yeah, now I finally see. So this is why you always make me want to vomit. You glad that Mum's finally dead now? You are, aren't you? I'm sure it would have been so hard on you, keeping your infidelity and even a kid secret while Mum was still alive. But now that Mum conveniently kicked it, you get to marry Kirie-san, and I get a new little brother or sister. You can bet that Mum's crying in heaven. You bastard, you're embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. So embarrassed I can't stand to have the same last name as you. The kid is completely guiltless. It'll be too sad if he or she doesn't have both parents together. Go ahead, build a new family and raise that kid to have a happy life. But I'll never forgive you. Mum isn't here to hate you anymore, so I'll hate you in her place. With all my body and soul. So long, old bastard. He can be harsh. Our battler. That's enough, Natsui. Rudolph hasn't lost the affection he feels for Battler-kun. It may take some time, but he wants to fix their relationship one day. As any father should. If he were some complete stranger, that would be one thing, but this is your own flesh and blood, son. It's clearly your responsibility. Go ahead. Despise me all you want. I won't argue. That's the only way I can atone. At the very least, make sure you give the new child a happy life. The kid who's going to be born, and Battler. They're both my kids. Wedding Kirie-san after Asumu-san's death may have been painful for Battler-kun, but it was the best choice you could make for the coming child. I understand why you did it. And I understand why Battler-kun felt like telling you that you are happy Asumu-san is dead. Stop, Natsui. Rudolph has already been scolded enough by the person most fit to do so. Now then, how about some black tea? Could you go ask someone in the kitchen to make us some? Understood. Natsui took this as a signal to leave the room and did so. Once she left, Kraus relaxed slightly. I feel bad for Asumu-san, but if we consider the timing of that soon-to-be child, this might have been quite a coincidence. Almost as though Asumu knew that and stepped down from the stage of her own choosing. Did I kill Asumu? If so, how long has it been since I started killing her? If you still treasure Asumu-san's memory, then no matter how many years it takes, you must fix your relationship with Battler-kun. Yeah, I know. And be sure to pour just as much affection on Kirie-san and the new child that is to be born, while also bearing Asumu-san's cross. If they have reserved seating in hell, if they do, I'd like to reserve myself a VIP spot. The news the Battler had abandoned the Ashuramayo name swept across the family. And poor Battler-san too. I do believe that he'll make up with them eventually, but this is a matter for the family. It's not something servants need concern themselves with. Instead, we should focus on memorizing the face of the newest member of the Ashuramayo family, Kirie-sama. Yes, that's true. She will be coming to the family conference this year. If the person who just joined the Ashuramayo family would be coming to the conference, then what about the person who just left the family? That means Battler isn't coming, right? That seems the most probable outcome. How lonely is the loss of a single, noisy man? Though most people felt a bit lonely to see Battler leave the Ashuramayo family, they didn't think any more about it than that. However, what about Shannon? Wasn't Battler supposed to come for her on a white horse? Battler was! But what happened to George? Oh, shit. Okay. I was surprised at first. I thought that, since he had left the family, he might not be coming to this island anymore. If we consider Battler-san's feelings, this is only natural, I guess. I understand painfully well why he wanted to leave his family. But does that really mean he won't come to Rokkenshima anymore? What on earth is going on? Will he really never return? Unable to ask him this directly, I was forced to live each day fretfully. Battler-san, I understand how you feel, but to say that you'll never return because you've abandoned your family, that's a lie, right? I was so confused that the world seemed to be spinning around me. I had a tight feeling in my chest and couldn't think about anything. When I happened to touch my cheek, I was surprised to find it hot and wet. While wearing a truly miserable expression on my face, I was crying. Shannon, Shannon. From far away I could hear someone calling to me, but it was a very strange sort of distance. Though it felt very far away, the voice also seemed to be coming from right beside me. Shannon, I know you're hard. It's okay. It's just a fight between a boy and his father, and I'm sure the rumours blow everything out of proportion. Everything's just being exaggerated. Indeed. There are none who can say with certainty that Battler will not return to this island. You would do well to remain strong. Where is this place? I seem to remember it somehow. I think it reminds me of the scenery from a strange dream I once had. Then this must be another dream. I was there, under an arbour, surrounded by a golden rose garden, and two witches in white and red dresses were showering words of encouragement upon me. You can be sure that those rumour-mongering young servants are embellishing the story however they please. So, he has changed his name, they say. Surely, this can be nothing more than a family quarrel. Thank you. I wish I could believe that. Of course it's true. He's a boy after all. You can hardly be surprised that he's had a few arguments with his dad. Precisely, as you say. Clearly they will make it up to each other once they cool their heads. When men argue, it's always fiery at first, but they burn out quickly. In contrast, an argument between women burns like a steady flame, but the fuel never goes dry. Men's arguments are fierce but short, quick and easy. You're right. I hope Battler-san and Rudolph-sama make up soon. Oh, they will. Haven't you heard Battler mentioning it all the time? He always fights with his father. This is just another of those fights. The death of his mother and his father's remarriage have merely upset him. It sounds as though he's gone to live with his mother's parents, but after he's cooled his head for a few days, he'll come back. It's like a kid running away from home, see? The two witches kept saying that Battler's fight hadn't been anything huge. If it had been a mere family quarrel, the rumours would have started in the first place, or wouldn't have started. Taking an optimistic view here isn't likely to prove useful. Either way, this is a problem between Battler and his father. If you're patient, time will heal all wounds. There's no point in you feeling bad over it. Just because Battler happened to be absent today doesn't mean we can be sure he'll never come back. All this means is that Rudolph came alone today. True. Of course, he'll be at the next family conference as energetic as ever. By then, Rudolph will probably bring that Kyrie here too. Battler may be sulky about it, but I'm certain that he will come as well. You're right. Yeah. I'm sure you're right. How nice would it be if they were right? In fact, if I could, I'd like to flip through the calendar until autumn right now and check to see whether he does come to the next conference. If he does, then all my fears are groundless. It would mean the rumour-mongering family members and servants have just blown things out of proportion. If Battler-san was right here, I'd want to question him right away. Hey, it isn't true that you'll never come to Rokkenshima again, right? And then, if he said that of course he would come again, it would be such a relief. I don't know the phone number for Rudolph Sama's house, but I could probably look it up if I tried. However, as a servant of the family, I have no excuse for making such a call. And anyway, I have no way of knowing the phone number for Battler's grandparents' house. I can't do anything except wait for Rudolph Sama's family to come visit and hope that my fears are groundless. However, will I be able to make it through the day feeling like this? No way. I doubt I'll sleep a wink tonight. Just waiting around feeling like this, when I don't know when my next chance will come. I can't do that. Will it be next month? Or the month after? In the worst case, I might have to wait until the next family conference. And I have to wait that long while holding back this suffocating feeling. I can't bear it. Hey Shannon, sorry to ask this out of the blue, but when you made up your mind to do something by the next year, that something wasn't just quitting work as a servant on this island, right? I made the decision to start a new life. I didn't want to keep on being a servant by force of habit. I made the decision to step into a new life and to leave my old life as a servant behind. And Battler promised that he'd come here on the day of your decision, right? Yes. Tact is not one of my strong points, so I shall speak frankly. You made the decision and resolved yourself to start a new life with Battler, correct? A new life with Battler-san. You are afraid that Battler will not come for you on the day of your decision. However, there is more to that day of decision than just Battler coming to see you. It's also the day for you to show that you're determined to spend the rest of your life with him. This determination is something you must create for yourself. It won't bear fruit simply because Battler shows up. Shannon, do you now have the determination to spend the rest of your life with him? You decided to put it off until the next family conference because you didn't have that determination last time, right? What does it mean to live life with Battler? Have you ever thought seriously about it in detail? Well, as long as I'm working as a servant on Rockinjima, my opportunities for meeting him are limited. We're both underage, so it's too early to talk about, marriage. However, if I quit working as a servant, I should have many more opportunities to meet him. Once I quit work here, I'll return to the Fukuin house. I have my wages from serving the family, so I should have more than enough to travel to Battler-san's house to play. And when I graduate from school, I can rent an apartment near Battler-san's house. Then, well, I can work while going to school. That life would be a lot more difficult than I first thought. However, I'd be able to see Battler-san much more often. If not every day, then every week. I won't be a servant anymore, so there won't be any difference in class. I can call him whenever I want, and I'm already doing both school and work. Thanks to my experience here, I know more than enough to do simple housework. Doesn't that sound like a fun life? You can rent a humble abode, and once you've built up your own home, you can invite Battler over. And then the time you spend together, the world the two of you make, will begin. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Yes, it does sound a bit wonderful. This was the first time I had ever imagined that future clearly. My love for him and my honest desire to live my life with him. Earlier, I was able to consider both of those deeply. However, now that I'm clearly imagining the future I plan to choose, I finally understand. I must be aware of how much determination will be needed to reach that future. You dream of marriage eventually, don't you? Oh, girls these days dating with marriage in mind at such a young age. Well, that's a bit, Don't deny your dreams, okay? There's no point in taking a first step if your eyes are closed and you don't look to the future. If a girl's in love with a man, there's nothing wrong with thinking, I want to marry him. That's a young girl's natural right. My face had turned bright red. Earlier, I thought that considering marriage really was a bit premature, so I tried as best I could not to think about it. However, when the witches encouraged me to imagine it, that image was both exciting and vivid. I felt an indescribable feeling of refreshment and awakening, like the gentle breeze that washes over you when you go outside during a brief spot of sunshine on a rainy day. That's right, I didn't actually have the determination to go that far. I need to strengthen my determination by the time the next family conference comes round. If I can't do that, then sticking around as a servant on this island is no more than I deserve. And at the same time, this is also a trial. True, a trial to be overcome. A trial? Why is that? Fool. Battler promised that he would come for you at the next family conference, did he not? He said he'd come on a white horse, right? Yes. You're thinking that Battler will not come anymore. In other words, you have no faith in Battler's promise. That's why this is a trial. To pass through this trial, you'll have to show that you can trust him and wait. A trial. I hadn't thought of it that way. Since he promised to come for me in a year, then I need to believe that he'll come for me in a year. If I doubt that, I don't have the right to wait for him in the first place. In fact, Battler might have left the Ashurmaya family because he set his sights on a future with you. Oh, why would that be? If he knows that you will live together and eventually exchange marriage vows, having the name Ashurmaya would cause problems since Shannon is a servant of the Ashurmaya family. I see. He realizes that there'll be all kinds of trouble if he decides to marry a servant girl, so he's abandoned the Ashurmaya name beforehand. What do you think, Shannon? That way, everything makes sense. Battlers abandoned the Ashurmaya name for your sake. This sudden argument with Rudolph was just an excuse. What splendid reasoning. Nice going, Richie. Wah! They're being awfully nice. What do you say, Shannon? There's no reason to feel down. On the contrary, it's as though Battler has shown his determination first. A smile had finally returned to my face. Of course, I hadn't taken the witches seriously and let myself be reassured. It was closer to the opposite. It was almost funny that they could think up such ridiculously convenient explanations for everything. However, they'd made all those ridiculous theories to cheer me up. The witches are right when they say that I must trust Battler-san, and that there's no point moping about just because I've heard a few rumours. Until the next family conference, I intend to strengthen my resolve, and I believe that he'll accept my feelings and come for me. The idea that Battler left the family so that he could be married to me someday was laughable, of course, but right now I should try and feel confident enough to accept even crazy ideas like that. Thanks so much. I feel a little better now. That's well. I cannot stand watching you cry yourself to sleep. Thanks for coming into my dreams to encourage me. Indeed. It will be morning soon. This is all a dream. You won't remember any of it when you wake. However, your heart will be at peace. Yes, I'll believe in him and wait. So I won't listen to every little rumour. Very good. Wait until the next conference while improving yourself. If you think of it as training to becoming a wife, all of your everyday chores will grow more meaningful. Thanks a lot. Richie, it'll be morning soon. Is that so? Then so long, Shannon. You may not remember me, but I will always be by your side, watching over you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Time to wake up. The next family conference will be here in a flash. Wait for it at your leisure. Battler will certainly keep his promise. 1 year later. The next conference? 1981, 5 years until the incident. Is he going to do this every year? Pleased to meet you. My name is Kyrie. I hope we can all become quick friends. I've known your name longer than I've known Asumo-san's. I hear you're Rudolph's old girlfriend. Yes, we've known each other for quite a long time. Welcome to the Ashurmaya family. I hope you find it easy to grow comfortable here. Yes, I'd like to grow comfortable quickly so that I can support my husband. But look at how cute that little girl is. What's her name? This is Angie-chan. What a cute name. So you two couldn't make up after all. I thought this would be the perfect chance to bring him back, but he's as stubborn as Dad. Will Battler-kun ever come back? I'll miss him. Nothing wrong with a man having enough backbone to find his own way in the world. I'm sure he'll have made it big by the time he comes back. You think so? Right now, Battler-kun's home isn't home for him. The place he comes home to is somewhere else now. Enough. This concerns Rudolph's family only. It's not our place to meddle. Thank you, Kraus-Nissan. This is an issue for our family alone. However, I intend to do all I can to see that Battler-kun and Rudolph-san can live together again someday. After all, he's Angie's one and only big brother. Yep. When that kid gets stuck on something, anything you say to him will have the opposite effect. Asuma's father has a bit of a short temper. Looks like he's been adding fuel to the fire. It'll be okay. I'm sure he'll understand your feelings before too long. We can't do anything except cheer you on. Even if he doesn't come back, we're all praying that the two of you will make up quickly. It's a bit boring without Battler. Yeah. Hope he and Uncle Rudolph can make up soon. Thinking about how Battler-sama feels, he must have heard. His family basically got swapped around. He probably doesn't feel comfortable at home anymore. All men need to go out on their own one day or another. It might just be that Battler-kun's time has come. Do you think so? I do. It's not cool for a guy to hang around at his parents for too long. You gotta leave the nest in a flurry and make your name in the world. I plan to do that eventually, but it looks like he's gone and done it first. When he makes his name in the world and becomes a great man, will he come back? It may be that he never comes back. After all, this might be leaving the nest to him. Leaving the nest. Poor Shannon. Oh, going back here. Are they going to say, nice things to her again? Battler didn't come, did he? Oh, how terrible. I kept telling Shannon that he was sure to come. I'm sure she's very upset over Battler's absence. And it's all because I got her hopes up. She's been looking forward to this day. It pains me to think of how she must feel. Thanks, you two. I'm okay. I had been reunited with the witches once again in that dream world. Though I could never remember anything during the day, now that I was in the dream world, I somehow knew that this was a reunion. The witches both looked apologetic, though they had tried to cheer me up by saying that Battler would come today. Now that he hadn't come, it was like they'd been lying, and they seemed to regret it heavily. Shannon, well, thanks for your concern. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't sad, but I'll be okay. You sure? Really sure? That would be splendid, but... Clearly Battler's fight was so over the top that he couldn't bring himself to back down so soon. Men are so stubborn. Yes, that's true. He tried to act tough before running away, so his stubbornness has prevented him from taking back what he said so easily. He'll probably regret not coming today. Yeah, that must be it. For some reason they seemed nearly desperate in their attempts to encourage me. It was almost funny to watch. I couldn't help but giggle. Thanks a lot, both of you. After all, you're the ones who told me in the first place that this is a test, a trial to be overcome. The truth was, I couldn't really fool myself so easily. When will he come back? When will he come for me? When isn't the question. Will he come for me ever? If I start moping around now, the uncertainty and sadness will probably tear me apart. But they've taught me. This is a trial to see whether I really believe in him or not. The very fact that I feel uncertain and anxious is a betrayal of my resolve, and of his promise to come for me someday. George Summer said something about it. He said this might be the same as leaving the nest for Battler-san. That's right. This is his chance to leave behind the Ashurmaya name and spread his wings as his own man. If you really think about it, we're still very young. Even if we want to be tied together, we're still lacking many years of social experience and trust. If Battler-san's really and truly taking this seriously, then it's too soon for him to come for me now. Well done. Yes, that's the right attitude. You've done well to reach this understanding. I haven't reached anything. However, I've decided to think of it that way for now. This is a trial to see whether I trust Battler-san or not. If he had come today, then today I would have had to tell Madam that I wanted to quit my job as a servant. However, was I really prepared to do that? Last night I kept worrying about whether Battler-san would come or not. Thanks to that, not only did I not have the resolve to quit my job, I hadn't even started on the paperwork to do so. In short, I still don't have the determination that I promised him that day. I'm sure that God knew that. Battler will come for me when I found my determination. I wasn't determined, so it's only natural that he didn't come today. Yeah, it all makes sense now. So, I'm sure Battler-san didn't come today because I wasn't determined enough. It's only natural, since I couldn't even truly believe that he would come. I'm sure Battler was the same way. He did not yet have the determination and resolve to come for you. God's not heartless. When your feelings truly do draw close, I'm sure they'll bring the two of you together. Just like Orihime and Hikoboshi. Not sure what that means. Yes, it's as though the weather just happened to be bad during this year's Tanabata, keeping those lovers apart for another year. That's how I'd like to think about what happened today. That's how I'd like to think about it. I have no other choice. Battler-san. Are we not going through every year? Let's go back to these. But Battler-kun didn't come back for 6 years. Still a long way to go until then. So you had to wait 6 whole years feeling like that? When one waits every year for something to happen the next, and then the same thing the next year and the next, it becomes the same as waiting for an eternity. Pretty pathetic, don't you think? After all, this promise you thought you made with Battler seems to be something he knew nothing about, right? Battler-kun does tend to use melodramatic phrases just like Uncle Rudolph. His roundabout way of putting things might have led to a misunderstanding. Some girl's gonna stab Battler in the back someday. Well, I guess that's more or less what this tale is. When words can mean different things, they can turn a person's life upside down. There are times when careless talk costs lives. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was going to do every year and then do the break first. But no, this is our midpoint. So, this has been Greenie XI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again. again in a bit when... Let's see, is it going to go like 4 years or is it going to go... Oh, it's going straight on to chapter 7. Okay then. Yeah. See you again in a bit when we go for chapter 7. Thanks again for watching, folks. See you in a bit.